Welcome to the Mixology Talk podcast, where we serve up answers for your cocktail questions, interview top industry professionals, and keep you up to date with what's going on in the world of craft cocktails.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Mixology Talk podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Julia, and somehow we and our livers survived Tales of the Cocktail.
Just barely. So the last time we recorded, we were just a couple days in, but there was a lot more coming. So everything from bar contests to rare spirits tastings and lots of beignets.
Really, basically the only reason I go. Beignets
enough of a reason, really.
And tasting rooms. That's really why I'm there. You could just say we had a blast, but we're definitely glad to be home, and I think we're probably still drinking water, recovering from that trip.
Some of us are.
So, as we look back at the event overall, there were definitely a couple themes that we saw throughout the week that we thought that we would recap in today's podcast.
Yeah, so one of the biggest themes that we saw, something that we saw pretty much everywhere, is the fact that a lot of the uncool spirits are starting to make a comeback. So by uncool spirits, I mean like vodka and rum for the most part as well. They've both been kind of shunned in the craft cocktail movement over the last couple of years. So rum has been really fortunate in the fact that it has its own unique culture, and it's enjoying its own revitalization in tiki cocktails. But for the most part, it was one of the spirits that a lot of bartenders just weren't working with. So we're seeing that a lot now.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't a tiki cocktail, you just weren't going to see rum in it. But we really started to see that changing. Although we definitely saw a lot of awesome tiki cocktails coming through as well. And we're seeing some new tiki bars pop up in our own area and things like that as well. So it's exciting to see tiki getting more popular, but it's also good to see rum sort of breaking through those barriers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we notice is that there's a lot more effort in the market to educate bartenders on these new brands of vodka and rum that are hitting the market. One of the rums that really blew me away, and I'm sure that Julia would probably back me up on this one,
absolutely,
was the Lost Spirits Navy Strength rum from Monterey. And I only have 2 words for you concerning this rum. This stuff is awesome.
That's not 2 words.
Yeah, it's that good.
This awesome. You could say it in 2 words, but then you sound like a caveman.
Right, exactly. After a couple of drinks from this
it'll be
Navy
2 words.
Strength. Yeah,
exactly. It was really, really fantastic. And it's actually pretty close to us in Monterey, California. So if you're in the area, I think they said that they allow folks to come in and visit. So definitely do that. As far as vodka goes, we saw a couple brands that were sort of really highlighting their high-end products. The one that we saw the most of was the Elix, which is Absolute's high-end vodka product. I think they just launched it, correct?
They launched, I believe, the beginning of last year, or no, 2014, around that time.
Okay, we're not 100% sure on that, but for me, it was the first I had seen of this high-end vodka. It's fantastic. It's really high-quality stuff, and it was really exciting to see bartenders starting to actually use it in cocktails, not just as a sipping vodka. So that was good to see as well. Yeah,
and in my opinion, they threw the best parties in all of Tales. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And so they're putting a lot of concerted effort into educating bartenders, putting an image out there about what they want, this brand to represent. And I'm going to go ahead and say it was very effective. You saw their T-shirts everywhere, and a lot of brand recognition throughout Tales.
I can't help but notice, Chris, you are actually wearing the Absolute T-shirt right now.
I literally am wearing that T-shirt right now.
This was not planned. So clearly it's effective. Now, They
Right.
did a great job, I think, not just with the product, but in the way that they were highlighting it through fantastic events and also just in cocktails, letting people see what it tastes like and how it can be used well.
Absolutely.
So, I think probably the next thing that I heard over and over again throughout the event, was the term respecting the craft. Now, I admit I heard a lot of this last year as well, but definitely more this time. Bartenders in this business are starting to really think about their craft as an art, as a career, as more than just a job that you get in college to get by. I think this is really good for consumers. I think, coming from a consumer myself, it's starting to impact the San Francisco market for sure. And what we're starting to see is really the best of both worlds. We're starting to see bartenders who play the role of mixologist, where they design fantastic cocktails and just frankly give you something really tasty and interesting to drink. But they also focus on hospitality. This is something that San Francisco kind of forgot about for a couple years.
And I think there was a point in general that craft cocktails were this kind of, judgmental culture, and it was this weird kind of personality that was associated with it. And I'm really relieved and very, very excited to see that it's returning back to its root. The fact that people come there to spend money, to hang out with friends, and just to have a great time. That's why we go out to drink at bars.
Exactly. It is important that frankly, the service is good, the environment is nice. If you walk into a bar and get a fantastic cocktail, but the whole staff is kind of snooty and treats you poorly, you're not going back. At least I don't. So I'm really glad to see that not only are people in this industry treating this career as a career and treating the sort of art of cocktail creation as an art, but they're bringing back the hospitality element of it, which I just think those three things together are going to be great for consumers.
I'm really excited to see kind of what this next year in our culture brings, and it benefits all of us. It really does, So having a great cocktail, great service, and a great environment to just kind of hang out in. I mean, there's not really much else to ask for, really.
They're all connected. Exactly. Exactly.
So one of the other things that I noticed is from the brands themselves, putting a lot of emphasis and a lot of financial resources into building education centers. So we saw this with Bar Smarts being developed through Pernod Ricard a few years ago. And one of the things that I saw a lot of at Tales of the Cocktail was Angostura, the bitters company, is also a rum producer, and they're launching the Rum University. The same goes with Pisco Portone. So Pisco is this kind of mysterious product that a lot of consumers, and a lot of bartenders for that matter, just don't know much about. So they're actually putting a lot of energy into creating an educational program about Pisco.
Yeah, I definitely did not know that Angostura makes rum as well. That was a very confusing time for me.
Yeah, it's really good too.
No, it was good. They did a good job, but I was very confused by the huge bottles of Angostura. So it's really exciting to see educational options improving for bartenders out there. It's really important for the industry overall. In the past, like Chris mentioned, Bar Smarts was really one of the only online options, but now other spirits brands are starting to fund these kinds of projects. The one thing I will say, though, is to be mindful of any educational program that is offered by a spirits brand. Not don't be opposed to it, but just be mindful of it. I'm sure most of the content is great, but if a spirits brand is paying, I guarantee it's coming out of their marketing budget. So be aware they may be trying to make their own products look a little bit better, or maybe make them just look better than everyone else. Or maybe they're just only going to mention their own products, so that's who gets your mind share. And that's okay, because they're investing the money, and that's fine. Just be aware of that, I would say. It's just good to keep in mind when I'm getting educated by somebody, who's paying the bill.
Right, absolutely. So, and if you are interested in online spirits education, definitely take a look at Bar Smarts. They're one of the leaders in the industry. They do a great program that focuses primarily on spirits. And our very own cocktail design course, I'm going to go ahead and say it, I'm a little bit biased, but I think our course does a great job taking someone through the process of learning to design their own craft cocktails. And you can find all of these links at mixologytalk.com/8.
So that about wraps it up. Those are basically the three things that we noticed this year. Again, the uncool spirits of vodka and rum are definitely making a comeback, so take a look for those in your local bar. You really should start to see the craft coming back into bartending. You should start to see hospitality coming back. And then again, bartenders and folks in the industry have a lot more options for education. So those three things together, I think they all just point the whole industry in the right direction. I'm really excited to see where things go over the next year.
I couldn't agree with you more. So next week, definitely stay tuned. We're going to be creating some cocktails and some fun summer cocktails that you can make at home. So one of the other things that we're doing is we're doing a Tales of the Cocktail giveaway. So make sure that you enter the giveaway.
So you may not know this, but when you're at Tales of the Cocktail, when you're walking through the tasting rooms and wandering around meeting interesting people, a lot of these folks actually work for the spirits brands. And if you're real nice or real lucky, you may end up with a little bit of brand swag. So we were apparently real nice and real lucky, and we ended up with quite a bit. So what we've decided to do is actually go and raffle it off to folks on our blog. So we'll provide some links over at mixologytalk.com/8. And there's some really fun stuff in there. There's like a cell phone charger, a USB drive, a notebook, a couple flasks.
Yeah, sorry, I took care of the contents of those. I apologize. They were really good.
Sorry, folks, we couldn't have given you the booze anyway. We don't have a liquor license.
Right. So, but yeah, go to our website and enter to win, and we'll be announcing the winner on Monday, August 4th.
August 4th, yes. So that's this coming Monday. And the good news is if you go to that page, you'll also see the same place where you enter is also where you can find detailed session notes from each day of Tales. So if you want to see some really detailed notes about some of the seminars we attended, some tasting notes from some of the really fancy spirits tastings that Chris got to go to, that would be the place to go.
Great. So yeah, we'll see everybody next week. And until then, cheers.
Never miss an episode by subscribing in iTunes or YouTube. And as always, check out the show notes by clicking on the right.